Hello, chess enthusiasts. Today, we're diving into a masterclass opening from the Isle of Man International 2017, where World Champion Magnus Carlsen faced off against the aggressive and creative Baadur Jobava. Carlsen, known for his exceptional positional play, employed the London system, showcasing its potential to build a strong and flexible structure, eventually transitioning into a dominant middle game. In this video, we'll break down the first 15 moves of the game, emphasizing the key strategies and principles that Carlsen used to outmaneuver Jobava. Let's jump right into it. E4, E6. Magnus begins with E4, a versatile and aggressive opening move, taking control of the center and opening lines for his pieces. Baadur responds with E6, signaling the French defense, known for its solid structure and counter-attacking potential. D4, D5. Carlsen follows up with D4, supporting his E4 pawn and aiming for complete control of the center. Jobava plays D5, a classic French defense move, immediately challenging White's central dominance. We're entering the classical structure of the French defense, but keep an eye on how Magnus transitions into a setup akin to the London system. D5, D5. Magnus opts to exchange on D5 with D5, leading to an open central position. Jobava recaptures with D5, leaving both players with symmetrical pawn structures. This move keeps the game balanced, but also leaves room for strategic maneuvering in the upcoming moves. Knight F3, Bishop D6. Knight F3 develops the knight towards the center, adding pressure to the D5 pawn, while also preparing for kingside castling. Jobava responds with Bishop D6, developing the bishop to an active square, where it can exert influence on the center and potentially attack White's position in the future. C4, C6. Magnus strikes the center with C4, aiming to undermine Black's pawn on D5 and create central tension. Jobava responds with C6, reinforcing his D5 pawn and maintaining a solid structure. This move also opens up a potential square for the queen's knight to develop too. Knight C3, Knight E7. Knight C3 further develops White's pieces towards the center, adding more pressure on the D5 pawn. Jobava responds with Knight E7, developing his knight in preparation to support the D5 pawn and to keep options open for kingside castling. Bishop D3, C4. Magnus now plays Bishop D3, reinforcing his control of the center and pointing towards Black's kingside. Jobava decides to exchange in the center with C4, capturing the C4 pawn. This move temporarily gives Black a pawn, but also allows Magnus to develop his bishop with tempo. Bishop C4, castle. Bishop C4 recaptures the pawn on C4, and now the bishop is perfectly placed on an active diagonal, exerting pressure on Black's position. Jobava castles kingside with castle, ensuring his king's safety and bringing the rook into play. The game is still balanced, but Carlsen's pieces are more actively placed. H3, Knight D7. With H3, Magnus takes a moment to prevent any future Bishop G4 pin, ensuring that his knight on F3 remains flexible and mobile. Jobava plays Knight D7, developing his knight and preparing to challenge White's central control. Castle, Knight B6. Magnus castles, completing his development and securing his king. Jobava then plays Knight B6, aiming to challenge White's powerful bishop on C4, which is exerting significant pressure on Black's position. Bishop B3, Knight D5. Magnus anticipates the knight's pressure on his C4 bishop and retreats it to a safe square with Bishop B3. This keeps the bishop on an active diagonal while avoiding exchanges that would favor Black. Jobava responds with Knight D5, activating his knight and attacking Carlsen's central control, especially targeting the C3 knight. Rook E1, Bishop F5. With Rook E1, Magnus centralizes his rook, aligning it with Black's E7 bishop and the open E-file, preparing for potential central breaks. Jobava develops his light-squared bishop with Bishop F5, aiming to exchange Carlsen's powerful bishops and relieve some pressure. Knight E5, Bishop E5. Magnus continues with Knight E5, an aggressive move that looks to capitalize on the open E-file and put pressure on Black's position. Jobava decides to exchange the knights with Bishop E5, neutralizing White's central influence but giving Carlsen more control over the E5 square. Rook E5, Queen D7. Carlsen recaptures with Rook E5, placing his rook on a commanding square in the center. Jobava responds with queen d7, connecting his rooks and preparing to exert pressure on the e-file, while also eyeing the b3 bishop. Queen f3, bishop e6. Finally, with queen f3, Magnus develops his queen to an active square, increasing pressure on the f6 square and eyeing potential tactics. Jobava responds with bishop e6, developing his bishop while keeping his position solid. The stage is now set for an intriguing middle game battle, with both sides having developed their pieces and staked claims in the center. As we reach the conclusion of the opening phase in this game, it's clear that Magnus Carlsen has successfully implemented the London system's principles, transitioning from a solid opening into a promising middle game. The key takeaways from this game include the importance of central control, the value of piece activity, and the need to maintain flexibility in your position. Carlsen's patient and precise play allowed him to keep Jobava on the back foot, and now with all pieces developed, both players are ready for the complex middle game to unfold. The London system, as demonstrated here, is not just a safe and solid opening but can also lead to dynamic and attacking play when executed with precision. Stay tuned for the next part of this series where we delve into the middle game strategies and tactical nuances that define the outcome of this game. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more in-depth chess analysis. Feel free to leave your thoughts and questions in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.